to fight on the landing ground.
Thank you for joining us. You're listening to A Radio, and this is the Morning Minute. Please click on the follow button on Spreaker.com. Today, I want to talk to you about the protests that were going on over the weekend in Canada. I'm going to make a number of comments, and they are meant as constructive. I personally was only aware of these events taking place just a few days ago, and based upon what I could see, the number of people that were either signing up at the time or even showed interest were quite clearly a problem. The numbers just weren't there because I don't think the message got out. I don't think people were reached in the right way. Anybody can criticise, but I just tell you how I think it is. In my opinion, it would have been far more worthwhile to have waited for better weather. Just delay it a couple of weeks. That would have made all the difference. It was absolutely bitter over the weekend, and how can anybody be blamed for not turning up? Second, how the message got out was not great. However, some people did turn up, and that brings me to my second topic. That is the mainstream media coverage and their characterization of it, and the characterization, more importantly, of the protesters who braved the conditions to protest Motion M103, as they like to call it. Here are some descriptors that were used in some places. Right-wing hate groups, anti-groups, shouting no white supremacy, anti-Islamic, and more. Watch the videos while you can before they get edited down. But quite frankly, this has got completely out of hand, and the media have chosen to do this. There's no mention at all of non-white citizens protesting, who also share concerns, like all Canadians, over free speech. There's a website called risecanada.com, and you can see a number of videos there, and I recommend that you go there. These videos show that it's not white supremacists that are complaining, that are upset, but it's actually Hindus who are concerned about their right to object to one religion having protection over another. Isn't that the point after all? Here's a clip from one of the recent meetings at a Liberal riding, and listen to her being questioned.
We should stop doing things like
Ignite.
This. Yeah.
So I mean,
this is what's igniting them. This is what's igniting them.
Okay, let her speak, please.
No, I would like everybody here to speak before I speak.
And also, I want to add something. Sometimes, like when I read about it, they're saying Islamophobia, and then this is something consideration that if you speak something against Islam or Prophet or any of the Quranic verses, you could be criminally charged. Okay, this is what I have read initially about it, and I'm thinking that why it has to be there? Do we not have a confidence in our Canadian law or the policing? Are we not charging the criminals who are racists?
We've got plenty of
what most people find. I don't mean to interrupt, but there's a context here that has gone so far south, out of reality, that we don't have a platform for discussion. And Tarak Fata, if my pronunciation's right, has already testified in front of the Senate committee, and he's told these people that 85% of these mosques are categorized as radical. They've got hate speech going on in their very first prayer. And where are our law enforcement officials investigating it? Our law enforcement officials are acting like they're community conciliators. This is the problem. The context is so far from reality that Islamophobia has no context
Actually, the reverse is true.
or anything like that.
There's no substance to the word. Period. It's a complete manipulation of language.
Where most people are concerned that the liberals have gone astray is that the UN, the Muslim thing that influenced the UN, we're concerned that we're going to adopt that here. And if that's the case, we forfeited our democracy to the United Nations, and we don't want that. We didn't elect you or any other elected representative to follow the policies of the United Nations.
Now, what I have coming up now are 3 clips from 3 TV reports. The first one is from Global TV, The second one is from CBC, and the third one is from CTV. The coverage generally was atrocious in my opinion, but the last clip is particularly interesting as it describes the anti-M103 protesters as right-wing. I also want you to notice that the reporter links the anti-M103 protesters to the goings-on in a particular mosque a few weeks ago.
Police in Montreal formed a human wall between the two groups as tensions boiled over. This side speaking out against M103, a motion that asks MPs to condemn Islamophobia. Protesters say it will limit their right to free speech.
Basically, M103 needs to go. This is not an anti-Islamophobia bill. This is a pro-Sharia law bill. We are here against the Islamification of our homeland.
For real? This side is furious over statements like that.
So this isn't about critiquing a religion or critiquing ideas. This is about a hatred towards people that we identify with, our fellow community members who happen to be Muslim or immigrants or refugees.
How can you be a member of our Jewish community and stand up with this hate? This isn't what the Torah preaches.
You got into an argument with somebody who was holding a sign with what he said was a phrase from the Quran. What was that about?
So I was really frustrated because as a Jewish queer woman here, that is the sort of propaganda that was used to incite hate in World War II and led to genocide. And for me, being here, representing for me and my community, I think that it's a no-brainer that we need to stop this systemic hate the way that it's starting right now.
Does your life matter?
I'm wearing a Make America Great Again hat, and I'm not fully white. I'm Métis, and so it's not a white supremacist thing at all. My basic stand is, yeah, everybody has the right to be here, but no one has the right to stand up front and say that because we believe differently that we're terrorists. We're not terrorists.
Your country has changed!
Opposing protest groups are colliding today in Quebec. Far-right groups are protesting against M103, a motion before the House of Commons that condemns Islamophobia. A counter-protest says this kind of rally is racist and anti-immigrant. These rallies are being held in 4 separate spots. CTV's Maya Johnson reports.
Several dozen protesters have taken to the streets in Quebec City today. The larger group made up of right-wing groups, including La Meute and the Canadian Coalition of Concerned Citizens. They say that M103, the motion against Islamophobia and systemic racism, is a threat to their freedom of expression. They feel that they won't be able to criticize radical Islam or Islamic terrorism, and that is the reason why they've come out here to protest today. But this protest has been met by a group of counter-protesters who say that this kind of discourse is actually racist and anti-immigrant. And there has been some tension here since the deadly shooting at a mosque in Quebec City, in which 6 men were killed after evening prayers in their mosque. So there's a bit of a clash here at this protest between those who say that there is an anti-Muslim sentiment and those who argue that they simply want to express their freedom of speech. Back to you.
Nothing could be further from the truth. The mainstream media did an extremely poor job covering the issue that was of concern, and in my opinion went out of their way to marginalise people who objected to M103, giving the impression to the viewers that it was just a minuscule number of Canadians who cared about this issue. Nothing could be further from the truth. Nothing. So I just want to remind our mainstream media people and yourselves this, Section 2 of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Under the heading Fundamental Freedoms, everyone has the following fundamental freedoms. A. Freedom of conscience and religion. B. Freedom of thought, belief, opinion and expression, including freedom of the press and other media of communication. C. Freedom of peacefully assembly. And D. Freedom of association. I suggest that you print this section of the Charter out and always keep it with you. Make no mistake, ladies and gentlemen, our rights and our freedoms are under attack. And please do not make the mistake of thinking it's just the liberal communists who are attacking us. It's the Conservatives and the NDP and others. I will put this simply and as delicately as I can in an attempt to appeal to all members and groups in our country. They believe they must compromise your rights. Why? It's simple. For votes and power. Never for one moment have they considered where this compromise will end up. Well, ladies and gentlemen, here we are, the hour of truth. And here's the question. Do they consider, that is the politicians that represent us in the House of Commons, do they consider the Canadian Constitution and thereby the Charter sacrosanct or not? Is free, warts and all, or is free only free until a minority group says not? So I ask you to do this. Make a note of how your MP voted on this issue, and then ask yourself, does my MP stand for freedom and the Canadian Constitution or not? Your choice. Won't it be interesting to find out? You can find more at aradio.wordpress.com, and I'm on Twitter at aradiocanada. That's EHRADIO Canada. I'm also on Facebook at the same address, A Radio Canada. I'm now on Gab at A Radio, that's EHRADIO. You can email me at aradiocanada@gmail.com. Please click on the follow button on Spreaker.com and you can listen to all my morning minutes there. And under Spreaker.com/A Radio, that's EHRADIO. And please click on the like button. You can find all my podcasts and all my morning minutes at aradio.wordpress.com and click on the Morning Minutes tab.